In the year 2291, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. Earth was no longer alone. For over 70 years, humans had been part of the Great Galactic Empire, a vast network of thousands of alien civilizations, united under one council, one law, and one government. Humans had believed that joining the Empire would secure their future among the stars. But the dream was broken. The broadcast reached Earth at 0300 hours, standard galactic time. Every screen, every ship, every station displayed the same message. The Galactic Council Chamber, located on the Empire's capital world of Vortac Prime, filled the screen. High Chancellor Korvek, leader of the council, stood at the center. He was a tall, reptilian creature with pale green scales and golden eyes. His voice was cold, sharp, and without emotion as he spoke. By the authority of the Galactic Council, after review of human violations, aggression, and reckless actions, we declare the removal of Earth from the Galactic Empire. Effective immediately, all trade, communication, and military support are terminated. No species shall aid or recognize Earth as a member of this empire. This ruling is final. The screen cut to black. Silence fell across Earth. In the Earth Space Command Center, located in New Geneva, Commander Ethan Vance stood still. The other officers around him lowered their heads in shock. Some whispered in disbelief. Others stared at the blank screen, unable to process what had just happened. Ethan clenched his fists behind his back. He had known this day might come. Tensions between Earth and the Council had been rising for years. Human mining colonies had pushed into restricted zones. Human warships had refused to back down in border disputes. Earth had made enemies. Too many. But Ethan had hoped they would find a way back. He had hoped the Council would listen. They didn't. The panic started almost immediately. News spread like wildfire. Cities across Earth erupted in fear. Markets collapsed. Supplies from off-world stopped overnight. People gathered in the streets, demanding answers. Some called for peace. Others called for war. Ethan knew the real danger was just beginning. He walked into the briefing room, where Earth's remaining world leaders were already connected by hololinks. Presidents, generals, scientists, and representatives from every nation appeared before him. We all saw the message. Ethan began, his voice steady. Earth stands alone now. No more supplies. No more allies. No more protection. The room fell silent. A nervous voice broke the silence. We can't survive without the Empire. Our technology depends on their systems. Our colonies. Ethan raised his hand. Enough. I won't lie to you. This is a death sentence, unless we change the ending. The leaders watched him closely. We still have shipyards. We still have engineers. We still have soldiers. Most of all, we still have the will to fight for our survival. Ethan continued. Fight the Empire? Someone asked, fear in their voice. No, Ethan replied. We fight for Earth, for humanity. We build what they denied us, a future of our own making. He pointed to the hollow map floating above the table. It showed Earth, the solar system, and the nearby sectors of space. We unite now. One world, one command. We use what we have. We rebuild. We survive, not as part of their empire, but as the heart of something new. A heavy silence followed. Then one by one, the leaders nodded. Slowly at first, then with growing confidence. The Human Sovereign Union was born that night. Ethan knew it would not be enough to declare unity. Action had to follow. The shipyards of Luna Base and Mars Station came back online within days. Engineers began designing human-only starships, free of Empire technology. Military forces merged under one flag. Factories across Earth and the colonies worked day and night to stockpile supplies. But there was fear everywhere. Without the Empire's trade networks, Earth's economy collapsed. Food shortages began in the outer colonies. Power grids failed in several cities. Riots broke out in many places, forcing soldiers to restore order. Ethan stood on the balcony of Earth Command, watching the smoke rise from the city below. He knew the hardest part was still ahead. Survival would cost more than resources. It would cost trust, sacrifice, and time. Three things humanity no longer had in abundance. He turned to his staff. Call a meeting, he ordered. We need a survival plan before the week ends. No excuses. As his officers moved to carry out his orders, Ethan allowed himself a single glance toward the stars. Somewhere out there, Korvek was watching. Ethan knew the Chancellor expected Earth to break apart and beg for mercy. But Ethan had no intention of begging. Earth had been cast out. Now humanity had to stand on its own, and it had to stand fast. The days after Earth's banishment moved quickly, faster than Ethan expected. Supplies that once flowed from dozens of alien trade routes had stopped. Ships that once carried food, medicine, and parts to Earth had vanished. Ports stood empty. Space stations shut down their long-distance relays. Earth felt smaller now, like a sealed box with no air. Ethan Vance walked through the long corridors of Luna Base, Earth's largest shipyard on the moon. The engineers had gathered as he requested. They were the best Earth had left. Men and women who had spent their lives working with both human and alien systems. Now, they stood in front of their new commander, waiting to hear the impossible task he was about to give them. "We have ships in dry dock," Ethan began, "but they were built with alien tech, systems we no longer control. They will fail without Empire support. We need ships that are fully human-made. No foreign parts, no hidden codes, no weaknesses." A tall engineer named Harper spoke up. "Commander, we don't have the materials. Our mining stations can't supply enough. Our power cells were imported. Our weapons systems." Ethan raised a hand. "I know, but we have Earth. We have Mars. We have Titan's gas mines. We have human minds. Make it work." There was hesitation in their eyes. Fear. But Harper nodded. "We'll find a way." Work began immediately. Engineers tore apart every captured alien ship in storage. They stripped them down to metal and wires. They studied every system, every flaw. Factories on Earth started building old-world parts. Simple but reliable engines, armor plating, and basic weapons. It wasn't as advanced as Empire tech, but it was human-made. And it worked. Meanwhile, the situation on Earth grew worse. Supplies of food and medicine ran low. People lost hope. Riots broke out in several major cities. In New Cairo, a mob overran a military supply center, stealing everything they could find. Ethan sent troops to restore order, but the damage was done. People had lost faith in their leaders. One night, Ethan stood in the war room with his closest advisors. He pointed to the shrinking stockpile reports on the hollow screen. "This won't last another month," he said. "We need resources. Now." General Malik, commander of Earth's ground forces, stepped forward. "We still have off-world smugglers who trade in the dark. They don't follow council laws. We could reach out." "It's a risk," Ethan replied. "If the council finds out, they'll send ships to shut us down." "We're already banned," Malik said. "What else can they take from us?" Ethan knew he was right. They had no choice. Within hours, small human scout ships launched into deep space. Their mission was simple: find anyone willing to trade. Weapons, fuel, food, anything Earth could use. But the scouts reported back with little success. Most smugglers had already been paid off by the council to avoid Earth. Fear of punishment kept them away. Days turned into weeks. Tension grew. Then, one night, a strange ship entered Earth's outer orbit. No flux, no identification. Ethan's sensors picked it up immediately. The ship sent a single message: ready to trade. No questions. Ethan ordered it to land on Luna Base. He met the crew himself. They were alien smugglers, reptilian species known as Zarn. Tall, lean, and covered in dark scales. They carried crates of power cells, ship parts, and even weapons. In exchange, they demanded raw materials: iron, copper, and human tech blueprints. Ethan knew it was risky, but Earth had nothing left to lose. He approved the trade. For the first time in weeks, Luna Base came back to life. Engines powered up. Assembly lines moved again. Hope returned, if only for a moment. But with every deal, the risk grew. Late one night, alarms rang across the base. A security team caught a stranger trying to access restricted files. Ethan rushed to the holding cells. Behind the energy barrier stood a short, insect-like alien. A Zarnik, one of Korvek's species. A council spy. Ethan stared at the creature. "Who sent you?" The alien hissed, but said nothing. Ethan ordered his team to search the spy's gear. Hidden inside was a map, a detailed scan of a nearby asteroid belt. It showed several hidden mining stations, marked with council symbols. One of them was less than 2 jumps from Earth, a supply station loaded with raw materials. Ethan called an emergency meeting. "We have their location," he said. "We take that station and we buy ourselves time." General Malik nodded. "We'll need every ship we have." Ethan looked at the holomap again. The station was well guarded, but not impossible. If they moved fast, they could strike before the council reinforced it. "Prepare the fleet," Ethan ordered. "We move at dawn." The officers saluted and rushed out to begin preparations. Ethan stood alone in the war room. He knew what this meant. It wasn't just survival anymore. It was war in the shadows. Silent raids, stolen supplies, risking everything for one more day of life. He closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "We didn't start this, but we will finish it." And so, Earth's first move was set, a raid that could either save them or would destroy them. Either way, Ethan knew they had no way back now. The fleet launched at first light. 6 ships, all human-made, rose from Luna Base and entered high orbit. They were not large. They were not fast. They were not armed with advanced alien weapons. But they were ready. Ethan Vance stood on the bridge of the HSU Resolute, the largest ship in the small fleet. Beside him stood General Malik and Harper, the lead engineer who had helped design these ships. The crew watched their commander with quiet focus. They all knew the risk. If the Council detected them, Earth would face a crushing response. But they also knew the reward. If the raid succeeded, Earth would have the resources it needed to keep building, to keep breathing. Ethan's voice cut through the silence. "Begin jump sequence." The stars stretched into long lines as the fleet entered faster than light travel. The jump lasted 6 minutes. 6 minutes of tense silence. When the fleet dropped back to normal space, the enemy station was right where the spy's map had shown. It floated among the rocks of the Astra Belt, its lights blinking calmly. Dozens of cargo containers were attached to its docking ports. 2 small defense ships patrolled nearby. Harper spoke first. "Looks like they don't expect visitors." Ethan leaned forward. "We won't give them time to raise the alarm. All ships, target their engines and comms. Disable them. No destruction." The fleet moved fast. Missiles and plasma cannons fired in quick bursts. The enemy ships were caught off guard. One exploded in a silent flash. The other drifted powerless, engines dead. The station lit up with alarm lights, but it was too late. Ethan opened a channel to the station. "This is Commander Ethan Vance of the Human Sovereign Union. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. No harm will come to your crew if you follow orders." The station replied with static. Then, slowly its lights dimmed. They surrendered without a fight. Ethan nodded to Malik. "Take the team. Secure the station. Load everything we can carry." Malik and his soldiers boarded the station. They met no resistance. The station crew, mostly small insect-like workers called Thrix, raised their hands in surrender. Malik's team worked quickly, loading crates of raw metals, fuel cells, and food supplies onto the ships. Harper reported in. "Commander, they have fabrication modules here. We can strip them and rebuild them back on Luna Base." Ethan nodded. "Take them all." The operation took 6 hours. Not a single shot was fired after the first strike. By the end of the day, Earth's ships were full. It was a small victory, but it was more than Ethan had hoped for. As the fleet prepared to leave, Malik returned to the Resolute's bridge. "The station is secured. What do we do with the crew?" Ethan looked at the holo display. The Thrix workers stood together, afraid. He knew they were not soldiers. They were not the enemy. They were just workers trying to survive. "Give them a choice," Ethan said. "They can stay here, or they can come with us. No force. No fear." Malik nodded and relayed the message. To Ethan's surprise, half of the workers chose to come with the fleet. They were tired of the Council's rule. They had heard the whispers about Earth standing alone, so wanted to join them. By the time the fleet jumped back to Earth space, they carried more than supplies. They carried new allies. The return was met with cheers across Luna Base and Earth. People filled the streets, watching the ships come down through the atmosphere. For the first time in weeks, hope returned. Factories powered up again. Engineers unloaded the new parts. Food and fuel were distributed across the struggling cities. Ethan stood on the command balcony, looking down at the crowd. Harper stood beside him. "We bought some time, Commander." "Not enough," Ethan replied. "But it's a start." The leaders of Earth met again that night. Ethan showed them the updated resource maps. The stolen supplies would last a few months, maybe more if they rationed. But it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about the future. "We have what we need to build a colony ship," Harper announced. "A real one, fully human. No alien systems. We can leave the solar system. Start fresh." The room fell silent. Ethan leaned on the table, looking at the plans. It was bold, dangerous, but it was the only way forward. "Where?" one leader asked. Harper pulled up a star chart. "Titanus. It's a planet in the Proximus sector. Breathable air, stable gravity, no known settlements. We can make it ours." Ethan nodded slowly. He knew the risk, but he knew the reward was even greater. "Start building," Ethan ordered. "Titanus is our future." The leaders agreed. The project began that very night. As the engineers and workers began shaping the future of humanity, Ethan allowed himself one small smile. Earth had taken its first step towards something greater. They had struck the Empire, taken what they needed, and returned stronger. But he knew this was just the beginning. The Council would hear of this. Korvek would not stay silent forever. The fight was far from over. But for now, Earth had hope. It took 8 long months to build the Titanus colony ship, named the Dawn Star. Engineers worked day and night on Luna Base and Mars Station. Factories never stopped. Thousands of workers joined the effort, knowing this ship could carry the future of humanity to a new world. It was the largest ship humans had ever built. It stretched almost 3 kilometers long. It had living quarters, hydro farms, power stations, and defense systems. Ethan Vance stood on the observation deck, watching the ship's frame come to life. He knew it wasn't perfect. The ship was slower than alien designs. Its weapons were simple rail cannons and missile pods. But it was strong. And most of all, it was human-made. Every bolt, every panel, every system was built by human hands. While the ship was being built, Ethan and his team prepared the mission to Titanus. Titanus was far, a 14-day jump through uncharted space. If something went wrong, there would be no one to help them. The crew would be alone. Ethan called for volunteers. He expected a few hundred to step forward. Over 10,000 signed up. Families, scientists, farmers, soldiers, engineers. They all wanted to be part of something greater than Earth's dying cities. They wanted a fresh start. Ethan knew they couldn't take everyone. Only 5,000 could fit on the Dawn Star. The rest would have to wait for future ships. Ethan stood before the chosen crew on launch day. "This is not an escape," Ethan told them. "This is not running away. This is our first step toward building a future no one can take from us." The crew cheered. The launch was watched by billions on Earth. People gathered in streets, parks, and rooftops. They watched the Dawn Star rise from Luna Base, engines glowing bright as it climbed into the stars. Ethan watched from the control tower. "Safe journey," he whispered. The mission to Titanus was smooth at first. The ship's engines held strong. The crew adapted well to life in deep space. There was hope in the air, excitement. Ethan stayed on Earth, leading the next phase, preparing the second colony ship. He knew the first colony had to succeed, or all hope would collapse. 7 days into the journey, Ethan received a private report. Another alien ship had approached Earth. This time, it wasn't a smuggler. It wasn't a spy. It was a small transport ship from a distant species known as the Juker. The Juker were a peaceful species, insect-like but intelligent. They had been banned from the Empire long ago, just like Earth. Their ship carried only 2 ambassadors. Ethan met them in private. "We have heard of your defiance," the Juker leader said. "We have heard of Titanus. We wish to join you." Ethan was cautious. "Why?" The Juker spoke simply. "We have no home. We have no allies. But we have ships. We have knowledge. We can help you build. Help you fight." Ethan studied them for a long moment. He knew the risk of trusting outsiders. But he also knew that Earth could not stand alone forever. "You're welcome here," Ethan said at last. "But know this, we fight for survival, not conquest." The Jooker nodded. "That is all we seek." Word spread quickly. Other small species, outcasts from the Empire, started sending messages to Earth. They asked to join. They offered their skills, their ships, their loyalty. Ethan saw a new future forming, not just for Earth, but for all who had been cast out. The Independent Alliance was born in secret. Humans and aliens working together, building something the Empire could not control. But Korvek was watching. 1 week before the Dawn Star was scheduled to reach Titanus, Earth's sensors detected movement. An Empire fleet had entered the solar system. 6 warships, fully armed, fully powered. They sent no message. Ethan stood in the war room, staring at the enemy fleet on the holomap. "They're here to block us," Malik said. "They're here to crush us," Harper added. Ethan knew they were right. If the Empire destroyed Earth's shipyards now, it would all be over. There would be no second colony ship, no future, no alliance. Ethan made the call. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered. "We meet them head-on." The officers stared at him. "With what?" Malik asked. Ethan pointed to the fleet list. "Everything we have." The next 2 days moved like a storm. Every ship in Earth's defense fleet lifted off. Small, outgunned, but ready. The Jooker added 4 small cruisers to the force. They were light, fast, and equipped with cloaking tech. It wasn't much, but it gave Ethan hope. Ethan stood on the bridge of the Resolute, leading the fleet himself. He knew this could be his last command. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. "Today, we fight not for power, not for conquest. We fight for the right to live, the right to build a future they tried to deny us." His voice carried through every ship. "Let them come. We stand as one." As the Empire's warships moved closer, Ethan gave the final order. "All ships, battle positions." The fate of Earth would be decided in the cold silence of space. The Empire's fleet entered Earth's outer defense line with brutal speed. 6 warships, larger and stronger than anything humanity had. Their black hulls reflected no light. Their engines glowed deep red, like burning coals. Commander Ethan Vance stood on the bridge of the HSU Resolute, staring at the enemy ships on the main display. His fleet, small, outnumbered, and underpowered, formed a line between Earth and the Empire's advancing force. Ethan knew they could not win with brute strength. They had to be smarter, faster, more determined. "Status?" Ethan asked. Harper, standing at the control station, answered quickly. "All ships in position. Weapons online. The Jooker cruisers are cloaked and waiting for your signal." Ethan nodded. "Open a channel to the fleet." The fleet commanders appeared on the holoscreen. Ethan could see the tension in their eyes, but also the fire. "They think we'll break," Ethan said. "They think we'll run. Prove them wrong." He ended the transmission and turned to Malik. "We move on my mark." The enemy fleet slowed as it neared Earth's defense line. The lead ship, twice the size of the Resolute, broadcast a single message. "Stand down. Surrender your stations. You have one chance." Ethan stared at the message. His jaw tightened. He replied with just 2 words. "Never again." The battle began. Ethan's fleet opened fire first. Rail cannons launched kinetic rounds at high speed. Missiles streaked toward the enemy's lead ship. The Empire answered with beams of pure energy, slicing through space. Ships shook under the force of the blasts. One of Earth's smaller ships, the HSU Brave, took a direct hit. It split apart in a silent explosion. Ethan felt the loss but held his focus. "Order the Jooker to strike," Ethan commanded. 4 Jooker cruisers, previously hidden by their cloaking tech, uncloaked behind the Empire's rear ships. They fired concentrated plasma bursts at the enemy engines. One Empire ship lost power and drifted out of formation. Ethan saw the opening. All ships focused fire on the disabled ship. Missiles and rail rounds smashed into the enemy vessel. Its hull broke apart. The Empire lost 1 ship, but 5 more remained. The Empire's fleet adjusted, focusing fire on the Jooker cruisers. 2 of them were destroyed within minutes. Harper turned to Ethan. "We can't hold this line. We'll be wiped out." Ethan knew she was right. This wasn't a battle they could win by standing still. He had one more plan. One last move. Order the fleet to fall back to Titan's orbit. Ethan said. Titan? Malik asked, confused. Ethan nodded. We lure them in. We make them chase us. The fleet pulled back. The Empire followed, pushing deeper into Earth's territory. Ethan knew they were getting closer to Earth's refueling stations on Titan. But that was the point. As the fleets raced toward Titan, Ethan gave a new order. Bring the colony ship online. Back at Luna Base, the Dawnstar was fully powered and ready. Though it was built for colonization, it carried powerful engines and emergency defense systems. Ethan's plan was simple. Use the colony ship as a decoy and a battering ram. As the Empire fleet approached Titan, the Dawnstar launched from the dark side of the moon. It charged forward, engines burning bright. The Empire's sensors picked it up too late. The massive ship collided with the nearest enemy vessel. Both ships were torn apart by the impact. The explosion rocked the battlefield. Ethan used the moment of chaos. Full attack. All ships. Earth's fleet surged forward, targeting the damaged enemy formation. The remaining Juker cruiser led the charge. One by one, the Empire's ships fell. But Earth's fleet was breaking apart too. Ethan watched in silence as another of their ships was destroyed. The HSU Guardian, gone in a flash. Only 3 enemy ships remained. Ethan's fleet had just 4. Ethan knew this was the final push. He ordered Resolute to lead the charge. His ship rammed into the closest enemy ship at close range. Boarding pods launched. Human soldiers stormed the enemy ship, fighting hand-to-hand in the narrow halls. Ethan led the boarding team himself. Blaster fire echoed around him. He pushed forward, side by side with Malik. They reached the enemy's control room and took it by force. The ship's systems shut down. Another enemy ship lost. Back on the Resolute, Harper reported the latest status. Only 2 enemy ships left. We have 2 ships remaining. Ethan wiped the sweat from his face. We end this now. The final ships clashed in Titan's orbit. Explosions lit up the dark space. In the end, only 1 ship remained standing. HSU Resolute, damaged but alive. The Empire's fleet was destroyed or drifting powerless. Ethan stood on the bridge, surrounded by smoke and sparks. His crew cheered, some breaking down in tears. They had survived, but the cost was heavy. Half their fleet was gone. Hundreds of lives lost. Malik stood beside Ethan. They'll send more. Ethan nodded. Let them come. We'll be ready. Back on Earth, the news of victory spread like wildfire. People cheered in the streets. For the first time, they believed they could stand against the Empire. But Ethan knew the war was far from over. Korvac would not accept this defeat, and humanity could not stand alone forever. Ethan sent a message across the hidden channels of the galaxy. To all who have been cast out, join us. Stand with us. Together, we fight for freedom. The message was clear. The fight was no longer just for Earth. It was for every species the Empire had tried to silence. Ethan stood at the window of the Resolute, watching the wreckage drift through space. He knew the final battle was coming, and they would not face it alone. Ethan Vance sat in silence as hundreds of messages arrived on Earth's secure channels. One by one, they came from the outer sectors. Small ships, scattered colonies, banned species hiding in the dark edges of the galaxy. Some messages were short. We heard your call. We are ready. We want to stand with you. Ethan leaned back in his chair, rubbing his tired face. For years, Earth had stood alone. Now, they were no longer alone. General Malik entered the room. The response, it's larger than we expected. Ethan nodded. Tell them to come. Within weeks, ships began arriving. Old cargo haulers, small fighter crafts, repair ships. Nothing like the Empire's massive fleets, but they came willingly. Their crews were Juker, Thrix, Zarn, and others Ethan had never seen before. Refugees, outcasts, survivors. Luna Base could barely hold them all. Crews worked day and night to repair the arriving ships, adding human-made weapons and shields. The dry docks were crowded. The landing bays overflowed. But for the first time, humanity had allies who didn't come to conquer or control. They came to fight alongside them. A council was formed, the United Free World Alliance. It was small, fragile, and barely organized, but it was real. Ethan stood before the gathered leaders. His voice was steady and clear. We are all here because they tried to silence us. They pushed us to the edge. But together, we stand stronger than they ever imagined. He paused, looking across the room, filled with faces, human and alien. This is not about revenge. This is not about hate. This is about the right to live free. The leaders stood and raised their hands, their claws, their tendrils. A sign of agreement. The alliance was born that day. But Ethan knew Korvac would not wait long. The Chancellor had suffered defeat, but his pride had suffered more. A second strike was coming, and this time, it would be larger. Ruthless. Final. Ethan received confirmation days later. Scouts reported a massive fleet gathering on the edge of the outer sectors. 50 warships, 10 times larger than anything Ethan's forces could face. The Empire's final answer to Earth's rebellion. Ethan called an emergency meeting. They're coming for us, Malik said, pointing at the holomap. 50 ships, Harper whispered. We can't fight that. Ethan didn't argue. He knew the numbers. He knew the cost. He stood slowly. We won't win this with ships alone. The officers looked at him, waiting. We win this with hope. We win this by showing the galaxy that we are more than they claim, that we stand for every voice they tried to silence. Ethan walked to the center of the room. He activated the long-range broadcast. The message would reach every open channel, even those monitored by the Empire. Ethan spoke calmly, clearly. This is Commander Ethan Vance of Earth. We have been cast out. You have been cast out. But we stand here alive. We stand together. He paused. We do not seek war. We seek freedom. We seek peace. We seek the right to build our own future. The message was sent. The response came faster than Ethan expected. More ships arrived. Old, broken, small, but they came. Even from deep within the Empire's borders, brave pilots risked death to join the free worlds. Ethan watched them arrive, one by one. A fleet of the forgotten, the unwanted, the brave. It was not enough to match the Empire's fleet in size, but it was enough to stand and fight. The free world's fleet gathered near Titan. Ships from every species, every corner of the galaxy. Fighters, transports, cruisers, even mining haulers converted for battle. It was the largest gathering of free ships the galaxy had seen in generations. Ethan stood on the bridge of the HSU Resolute, looking at the fleet on the display. Malik stood beside him. It's not much. Ethan nodded. But it's ours. The sensors lit up. The Empire's fleet had entered the system. 50 warships, moving in perfect formation, ready to crush Earth once and for all. Ethan turned to his crew. This is it. He opened a channel to the fleet. To all free worlds, today we make our stand. The fleets faced each other in the dark space above Titan. Ethan gave the final order. Hold the line. The last battle had begun. The stars above Titan burned brighter that day. The space between Earth's last hope and the Empire's final answer felt like the edge of a cliff. On one side floated the united free world's fleet, a scattered group of human ships, alien cruisers, old haulers, and converted mining crafts. Every ship carried the same message: stand or fall together. On the other side waited Korvac's war fleet, 50 of the Empire's deadliest ships, armed with the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. They came in perfect formation, shields raised, weapons charged. Commander Ethan Vance stood on the bridge of HSU Resolute, watching them approach. They want us to fear them, Malik said beside him. They always have, Ethan replied. He opened a final channel to his fleet. This is where it ends. We fight not for victory alone. We fight for the right to live. For every world they silenced. For every voice they crushed. We fight as one. No cheers came back, only steady silence. Every captain, every crew member knew what this moment meant. The battle started without warning. The Empire's fleet fired first. Bright beams of plasma tore through the dark. Energy pulses flashed across the distance. Ethan's fleet responded with everything they had: missiles, railguns, plasma blasts. The space between the two fleets lit up like a storm of fire. Ships on both sides exploded. Human-made haulers were ripped apart. Juker cruisers fired back, disabling two of the Empire's smaller ships. Ethan's fleet broke into smaller attack waves, surrounding the Empire's lead ships. The plan was risky, but it was the only way to hit their weak points. Malik led one wave, Harper another. Ethan stayed at the center, guiding the defense. The Dawnstar II, the second colony ship, stood behind the fleet, shielded by the last defense line. If the fleet fell, the colony ship would be Earth's final hope to escape. Ethan knew this. So did Korvek. The Empire's fleet adjusted course, pushing toward the colony ship with everything they had. "They're going for the Dawnstar," Harper shouted. Ethan gave the order without hesitation. "All ships, hold the line. Protect that ship at all costs." The enemy's fire grew heavier. Ship after ship from Ethan's fleet was destroyed. The Juker's last cruiser took a hit and broke apart. Dozens of Earth's ships were gone. The HSU Valiant, Malik's ship, was hit. Fires raged on its deck. Ethan watched in silence as it drifted, powerless. Ethan opened a private channel. "Malik's status." Malik's voice came back, weak but alive. "We'll hold to the end." Ethan clenched his fists. They were losing too much. Too fast. Harper ran to the command station. "Commander, the Titan defense cannons. We can reactivate them." Ethan turned to her. "They were shut down during the last battle. They haven't worked for years." Harper nodded. "But we repaired them after the last attack. We've been holding them back, waiting." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Do it. Now." Titan's surface lit up as massive cannons buried beneath the ice roared to life. Plasma beams shot up from the ground, striking the Empire's center ships. 3 warships were hit hard. One exploded in a bright ball of fire. Ethan's fleet pushed forward again, using the chaos to hit the weakened line. Korvek's flagship moved in close. The largest ship in the fleet, dark and silent. Its weapons powered up for one final shot, aimed straight at the Dawnstar II. Ethan knew what had to be done. He turned to his crew. "All hands, prepare to ram." Harper's eyes widened. "Ethan, no. We end this now." The HSU Resolute charged forward, engines burning hot. Ethan guided the ship straight toward Korvek's flagship. Enemy fire ripped through the hull. Sparks flew. Systems failed one by one. But Ethan didn't stop. The Resolute slammed into the enemy's flagship with full force. The impact shook space itself. Both ships cracked apart, pieces spinning into the void. Ethan stood in the wreckage, his suit's oxygen alarm flashing red. He looked out at the stars one last time. But his sacrifice worked. The Empire's fleet broke formation. Their remaining ships scattered, retreating into deep space. The battle was over. Earth had won. On Earth, people poured into the streets, cheering and crying. Luna Base lit up with celebration. The Dawnstar II powered down its emergency systems. Humanity was still alive. Malik, injured but alive, stood on the bridge of another damaged ship. He looked at the empty space where the Resolute had stood. He placed a hand over his heart. Weeks later, the United Free Worlds Council gathered on Titan. They built a memorial to Ethan Vance. His name was carved into stone, alongside the names of every ship and every life lost. Humanity was no longer alone. They were leaders of a new alliance. Free worlds standing together. As the stars shined above Titan, the Council raised the new flag, the United Free Worlds, a symbol of hope, freedom, and sacrifice. The fight was over. The future had begun.